Okay, so this is gonna sound crazy. Like, seriously strange. It all started with me just wanting to make some new friends, maybe score some free pizza. You know, normal stuff. Instead, I ended up accidentally joining a secret society. And the worst part? I'm pretty sure I'm their leader now, don't even ask how. Moving to a new town is the worst. You don't know anyone, there's nothing to do, and my parents keep making me unpack boxes. So, when I saw a flyer for free pizza and good vibes at the community center, I was all over it. Free food, and the possibility of meeting people who weren't my parents, count me in. The community center was way creepier than I expected, like dim lighting, cobwebs in the corners, creepy. Plus everyone there was wearing these dark, hooded cloaks. I'm talking full-on Halloween costume cloaks. I almost turned around and left right then and there, but then I remembered the pizza. One of the cloaked figures handed me a similar cloak. "New recruit?" he whispered, his voice muffled by the hood. I just figured it was some weird dress code for the pizza line. Little did I know. The whole good vibes thing was a total lie. Instead of music and games, they were chanting in Latin. Seriously, Latin. And there were candles everywhere, like enough candles to make a birthday cake for a giant squid. It smelled like a combination of vanilla and old socks. I tried to blend in, even though I felt like I'd wandered onto the set of a bad horror movie. I even attempted to chant along, which mostly just sounded like I was choking on a cough drop. Then came the oath. The room, once filled with nervous laughter and cheesy puns, went silent. The circle tightened, and all eyes turned to the center, where a battered parchment was unrolled on a velvet cushion. They called it the Oath of the Cheesebringer. The Grand Fromager read it with such seriousness you'd think it was an ancient prophecy. Every word was delivered with total gravity. I glanced around expecting someone to break, but everyone was locked in, faces solemn. There were dramatic hand gestures, a rubber chicken, and synchronized movements like a secret handshake meets interpretive dance. Someone even held up a cheese grater like a sacred relic. Then came the promise, to uphold cheesy goodness. I raised my hand with everyone else, repeating the oath as the room echoed with solemn voices. I was sure they were messing with me, but everyone looked completely invested. No one cracked a smile. When it was my turn, I hesitated, then went all in. I grinned, hoping for laughter, but they just nodded approvingly. No one laughed. The silence was almost reverent. For a moment I wondered if I'd joined a cult or just a very dedicated improv troupe. Either way, I was in. Things went from weird to worse in seconds. The night was already tense, awkward silences, nervous laughter, everyone glancing around, waiting for something to happen. We tried to act normal, but the tension was thick. Then, the host brought out a mysterious platter, covered in a white cloth. All eyes were glued to the table as the cloth was lifted, expecting the main event. But it wasn't pizza. The empty pizza box mocked us from the side. Instead, in the center of the table, was a giant basket of garlic bread. Not just any garlic bread. This was a mountain of golden, buttery slices, the aroma filling the room and making everyone's mouth water. Each piece was perfectly toasted, crispy on the outside, soft inside, glistening with butter and roasted garlic. I was starving. The sight and smell of that bread was almost too much. My self-control was slipping fast. When the host gave the go-ahead, I reached for a piece without hesitation. The basket seemed to call to me. Maybe I got a little too excited. I lunged for the bread, not noticing the edge of the table. I tripped, stumbled, and made a complete spectacle of myself. In one mortifying moment, I face-planted into the garlic bread. The room went silent, then burst into laughter. Maybe garlic bread is both friend and foe. You'd think they'd be grossed out, right? Nope. They gasped. They pointed. One guy even fainted. Apparently, according to some ancient prophecy, the chosen one would be marked by the sacred loaf. And guess who just took a nosedive into the garlic bread? Yep, yours truly. They were convinced I was some kind of chosen one. I was pretty sure they were all completely bonkers. But hey, at least I got some free garlic bread out of the deal, right? I tried to tell them it was all a big misunderstanding. One minute I was just trying to blend in at what I thought was a normal book club. The next, a dozen people were staring at me like I was the answer to their cheese-obsessed prayers. I kept insisting there was a mix-up, maybe another Alex on the list, but they just nodded, convinced my confusion was part of some prophecy. I told them I didn't know Latin, didn't want to wear a cloak, and definitely wasn't leader material. But they handed me a musty garment and started chanting something that sounded like a fondue recipe. I protested. lactose intolerance, fear of group activities, my only leadership experience being a failed dodgeball team, but they just smiled, as if my reluctance was a test. They said I had a destiny. Apparently a prophecy, scribbled on the back of a pizza menu, predicted a reluctant leader would unite the order and bring balance to the world of cheese. They even had a laminated copy, complete with a fresh grease stain. Every time I tried to leave, someone would remind me, the prophecy chooses the leader, not the other way around. So now I'm the accidental leader of the Order of the Cheesebringer. We meet monthly, usually in someone's basement or the back room of a pizzeria. Our meetings are a mix of ritual, snack time, and group therapy. It's hard to keep authority when your ceremonial staff is a breadstick and everyone argues about brie versus cheddar. They make me wear the cloak, every meeting. It's itchy, smells faintly of Parmesan, and is 2 sizes too big. I've suggested alternatives, but the cloak is non-negotiable. I think they secretly enjoy watching me trip over the hem. And they still talk about the garlic bread incident. My first meeting I tried to impress with homemade garlic bread, but the ancient toaster oven turned it into a charred disaster. Now garlic bread is spoken in hushed tones and I'm banned from the kitchen. Last month I caught members arranging the remains of the infamous garlic bread on a plate, surrounded by cheese cubes and a tea light candle. They claimed it was a joke, but I saw the reverence. Here, even disasters become sacred. So here I am, accidental leader, hoping next month's meeting doesn't end in another fire drill. Every year, when the community center sends out flyers for their free pizza and good vibes night, I get a little shiver down my spine. I know what's really going on behind those closed doors, and part of me, just a tiny part, kind of misses the garlic bread. Okay, maybe a big part, but don't tell the Cheesebringers that. Please like and subscribe, and thank you for watching.